Hi, this is Celeste. I'm a Nationally Certified Interventionist. I'm a recovery coach, and I'm also a family coach. And I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about something that comes up with a lot of people who are in active addiction. And a lot of times they'll tell me, I don't understand why I can't stop. Why I can't stop drinking or using, because oftentimes there's so many negative consequences that go hand in hand with active addiction, including like the health problems, the financial consequences, legal ramifications, being arrested, broken relationships, broken promises, not being able to work. The list goes on and on and on. And a lot of times people I talk to they can't understand why in the face of all these negative consequences, they just can't stop. And I get it. I mean, I was there, I'm in recovery. So I get that sense of frustration and shame around not being able to stop drinking. So that's a really huge thing. And I talked a little bit about this yesterday from the other perspective of family members saying, like, I don't understand why they can't stop. So a lot of the things that come up for people in active addiction as far as reasons why they can't stop is, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I mean, I grew up in a family where it seemed like every second person in my family was struggling with addiction in some way, shape, or form. So there is definitely the genetic component that goes along with that. I don't want to spend too much time on that because at the end of the day, we can't change our genes, we can't change our genetic component. So I want to focus more on the aspects that we can start to manage and that we can work with from a coaching standpoint. So even with the family dynamic going on, and a lot of times having families where there's other addicts in the family, it becomes a learned behavior. So we see that that's a way for them of coping with their life's challenges, or even when things go good. Like, how many of you out there like or comment or give me a wave if you'll drink over celebrating something great that happened. You know, you got a promotion at work, well, let's go get wasted, right? Or you get fired from your job, well, you got to drink. Or even if it's something completely indifferent, well, you got to drink about that too, right? So it doesn't even necessarily have to be coping with negative circumstances. It's any circumstances, right, that can really push us to that point. So it becomes a learned behavior, and in watching our family members that have been through it, oftentimes they don't have any healthy coping mechanisms, right? Drinking or using becomes the only coping mechanism they know to escape their pain, or even to celebrate something good. It seems to be their one and only coping mechanism. So that's how they cope with negative things, positive things, trauma, whatever. That's how they cope with it. Another factor that comes up for a lot of people that are in active addiction or recovery is untreated mental health concerns. So maybe there hasn't been a diagnosis, so they can't get it treated if it hasn't been diagnosed. Or even too, maybe they've gone through treatments, but the treatments haven't been effective. So maybe it's the wrong talk therapy, it's the wrong medications, or maybe even not the right dose. Sometimes you have to adjust the doses to get the right dose that's going to work for you. Or sometimes too, even people will get the right treatment and decide they feel better, so let's go off it, and then they crash and burn, and then they turn to what they know, so they return to drinking. So that's a huge component of it as well. Another big aspect of it is environmental factors. So one of the environmental factors is definitely family, that we've already discussed. So we won't talk about that again, but even other environmental factors. Say if you live in a or in an environment that's high in poverty, high in crime, high in drug use, that's going to create stress on the family structure, on the children or the adults, and that's going to increase your chances of drinking and using. Or even to a big environmental factor right now is COVID. The drinking and using rates have gone up because of the additional stress that this is causing with COVID. So a lot of people have more financial stress, more work stress. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Even the stress of being stuck at home all day with your spouse. And I was just saying this to somebody the other day, it doesn't matter how much you love that person. If you're stuck inside with them as much as we are during COVID, they're going to drive you crazy. You're going to want to wring their neck. So there's a lot more family friction going on right now. Raise your hand if your spouse is driving you crazy. I promise I won't tell. That's a really big stress for a lot of people, is being stuck inside with somebody that they love. And yeah, you might love them until the cows come home, but they're going to drive you crazy. So these are a lot of the things that are really the reasons why we turn to drinking and using. So in the recovery coaching program, we're really going to start to address some of these factors. So starting to learn new coping mechanisms, starting to learn how to overcome some of those thought processes and those behaviors that have gotten us to the point where, we're stuck in active addiction. So we're really going to work heavily on some of those thought processes and behaviors and overriding them. We'll work on urge management and coping with urges, coping with cravings. We'll work on relapse prevention. We'll work on setting boundaries. Oh my God, with the boundaries, so many people tell me when they're in active addiction, codependency, all that kind of stuff. Boundaries are a huge thing, and boundaries are a huge trigger for not only using but for relapse. So I really like to do a strong focus on setting boundaries and developing better communication. So these are really going to help you rebuild some of those relationships that are struggling or have been broken, lack of trust, all those different things where your relationships are struggling. So a lot of these skills that you're going to start to learn are really going to help with rebuilding that trust and rebuilding those relationships that have really been fractured by drug and alcohol use. And at the end of the day, that's really one of the main reasons why we want to get better, is because we have people in our lives that we're hurting through addiction, and we want to get those relationships back. We want to improve them. We might not be able to go back to the way it was, but we can definitely work on making those things better. We can't go back and undo the past, but we're really going to work hard on rebuilding those relationships. And I won't lie, sometimes it takes time. It's not, you can't just wave a magic wand and have it happen overnight. So, but we're really going to work on that with you and helping you rebuild those relationships. So if you're interested in getting into my recovery coaching program, I'm going to post the details in the caption. So make sure that you click the link and fill out the application. Then what we'll do is we'll sit down, we'll have a conversation about where you're at coming into the program, what your goals are, and we'll build an individualized program around you, because this isn't a cookie cutter thing. Everybody has their history, their different drug of choice, different mental health concerns, different traumas, things like that. So we're really going to work on addressing some of those issues. And so it's not going to be a one size fits all. So we will customize the program to benefit you and go from there. So make sure you fill out your application soon. I've got quite a few coming in, which is great. I love the fact that I get to reach out and help so many people. And so make sure you fill it out today, and we'll get you going on your program. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks for all your love, Jackie. Thanks for all your comments. I love it. Have a good night, everybody, and we will talk to you again later.